Flanigan, and one of the most common questions I get is, why am I running for Congress? I'm a nobody, just a pudgy old middle-aged guy that's starting to lose his hair that works in a little battery store over in Bethany. I'm nobody special. But I reached a point, I agree with Mr. Calvi, what he said a while ago, that the time for political correctness and passivity has passed. Political correctness has gotten us to where we are. 30-second sound bites has gotten us to where we are. So I have a challenge for you guys. There's 12 days left till this election. And if you've ever seen me in a forum or seen me speak, some people have actually noticed that not one time have I ever asked for your vote. I don't ask for your vote. I'm not going to beg for your vote. What I want, what I ask for, is that in the next 12 days, if you would spend 1/2 of an hour every day, that's 6 hours of your life that I'm asking for, to take the candidate that you've decided is the right one to represent you and spend 30 minutes investigating that candidate and make a top 10 list of why he's the best man to represent you. And if the number one thing on that list is not integrity, please reevaluate why you support that candidate. And I'm not asking for your vote. All I'm asking for is for my children's sake, my grandchildren's sake, for our country's sake, please make sure that you truly know the candidate that you're voting for. I do appreciate you guys all being here, and I appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you. I'm sorry I didn't give you all my personal background. Thank you.
Johnny Roy, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Thanks the Chamber, and thank you, audience.
Rick Flanigan, 1 minute.
I absolutely support Arizona. I think the federal government should be suing sanctuary cities instead of Arizona. As far as how do I stand up on immigration compared to the other candidates, there's a few of them. Mr. Johnson, who I adore, is a great guy, but we disagree. I'm in favor of deportation. I like self-deportation. We remove the incentives for them to be here, and they will leave on their own. I think that's the first step. Mike Thompson mentioned House Bill 1804, great bill. It mentioned that it repealed in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. That was a bill that Mr. Calvi passed, that he authored and carried through the House and was head cheerleader on. So I would have to say I disagree with Mr. Calvi on his immigration stand. Shane Jett, I'm probably a little different than Shane is. Again, great guy. I just disagree with his opinion of how we fix immigration and how we fix illegal immigration. I'm not in favor of amnesty. I'm not in favor of work visas to people who already broke the law. You're still violating the law by being here.
Johnny Roy, 1 minute.
Whether it's Arizona or any other state.
Your brothers. Rick Flanigan, 30 seconds.
I define myself as a conservative, and therefore I have to define what is a conservative. To me, a conservative is somebody who believes in individual rights, individual responsibilities, and true liberty. And whether you're the African American community, Hispanic community, white, whatever your community is, if you believe in something other than individual rights, if you believe that one person has the rights to the labors of another, then you are not a conservative.
Johnny Roy, 30 seconds.
I want to echo
Rick Flanigan, 30 seconds.
All right, James stole my thunder. I was going to say there's no such thing as temporary in Washington, and there's not. And now as far as fixing the problems with the economy, get government out of the way of business, let them create jobs, and quit spending so much dang money on stuff that is totally, completely outside the purview of the federal government. We have to get control of our spending. If we put $100,000 a minute towards our deficit or our debt right now, we could not pay it off in 234 years. That's the amount of time that it took for us to get to this point. It's going to take that energy down.
The White House has proposed legislation such as cap and trade as a way to spur development of clean energy. Do you agree with the White House's energy policies? Why or why not? Rick Flanigan, 1 minute.
Now, I'm not a big fan of the White House's energy policy. If that policy has something to do with shutting down drilling in the Gulf and sending rigs to Egypt, and that's not an energy policy. This country hasn't had an energy policy since we started the Department of Energy. An energy policy is get out of the way of drillers. I heard one of the Democrats say a while ago, he's not a Sarah Palin drill here, drill now kind of guy. I'm a drill here, drill now, drill everywhere. Put some American oil back at the Sunoco. Put some American oil back in the pump at the gas station next to my shop. Put some American oil back in our vehicles. Put some American natural gas into the power plants. I'm all in favor of eliminating or getting rid of any amount of government regulation that interferes with American drillers drilling on American soil in the Gulf, in shallow water, deep water, and water, wherever. Go get the stinking oil.
Johnny Dillon. Rick Flanigan, 1 minute.
I told you guys in my opening statement I was going to ask you a favor. Well, I'm going to ask you one more. And that favor is, when you're talking about states' rights, and this is a term that I've heard a lot over the last year, let's replace the word rights with power. States have no rights. The federal government has no rights. They have power that has been delegated to them by us. We, the people, individuals, are the only ones who have rights. The state doesn't have the right. The federal government doesn't have the right. They only have power. Now, Mr. Calvey was talking about the Wicker case, and I imagine that, and I wasn't there, but I imagine kind of what that looked like is a bunch of politicians sitting around with a bucket, one of them labeled welfare clause, and one of them labeled commerce clause. And it's like, well, how are we going to justify this? Well, let's pull out this flag and see if it'll go up the pole. When we start taking our Constitution into two-word phrases and using that to twist it and turn it against us, we've got problems, and they've been doing it for 80 years now. Using the Commerce Clause or the general welfare of the United States to be general welfare of individuals.